It's always interesting when I can't get right on the live. It just keeps spinning. When something like this happens, now it's interesting. I'm just going to get right into it. Um, Maybe pull this up. It was a matter of I skimmed through this, so um, I am reading it with you right now. But it was a matter of time since this was mentioned quite a few weeks ago that Brian Friedman was going to um like shoot, oh my tea. Had defended this guy that this article starts out with against Justin as far as screenwriting of 5 Feet Apart. Times felt like it was important. So Justin Baldoni's tumultuous road to the center of a Hollywood scandal. Off the bat, the one thing that I notice is um, the choice of pictures, which is interesting. It screams duplicitous, it screams unstable, it screams not like a warm-hearted picture. Sorry. I wasn't expecting. I was thinking of doing a live in the middle of the day one of these days, but I wasn't thinking, "Oh, today's the day," as you can see. Um March 5th, 2025 at 3 a.m. Pacific time. So it's what, 5 a.m. No, 6 a.m. Eastern time. In 2020, Travis Flores became one of only a handful of people in the world ever to receive a third double lung transplant. Diagnosed as a baby with cystic fibrosis, a genetic disorder that causes mucus to build up in the lungs and other organs, Flores had defied doctors' predictions that he wouldn't live past the age of 5. Inserted sorry. At 29, he underwent the rare procedure in hopes of further extending his life. But as Flores recovered, his thoughts were consumed by another looming battle. Choice of words. This one with actor and filmmaker Justin Baldoni. Baldoni, best known at the time as an actor on the CW's Jane the Virgin, had made his directorial debut in 2019 with 5 Feet Apart, the story of two cystic fibrosis patients who fall in love. Baldoni said the film was inspired by a different cystic fibrosis activist to whom it was dedicated, but Flores maintained that it bore striking similarities to a screenplay he had written years earlier, Feet Distance. Now, I am definitely curious about the settlement because there was a settlement. I'm curious about a lot of things because, yeah. After his third transplant, Travis said, "The stress of this is killing me." Teresa Flores, his mother, recalled in an interview with The Times, through some donations, he got enough money to hire a lawyer. In September 2021, Flores sued Baldoni for copyright infringement in federal court. 7 months later, he voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit, telling his family that his legal team advised him that pursuing the case against a high profile defendant with significant resources would be difficult. And remember, this was Brian Friedman, I'm pretty sure, that was defending Flores. Baldoni, who Baldoni, who has denied any wrongdoing, was absolutely not aware of Flores's screenplay before making 5 Feet Apart. A spokesperson for the filmmaker and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, told the Times, despite its dramatic elements, a terminally ill man alleging a director appropriated his story for a hit film, Flores's lawsuit barely made a ripple. Copyright battles are routine in Hollywood, and Baldoni wasn't yet a household name. Since 2019, he had increasingly focused on directing and producing earnest, socially conscious fare through the purpose driven Wayfarer shingle. He had also positioned himself as a prominent male feminist ally, delivering a 2018 TED Talk, Why I'm Done Trying to Be Man Enough. That went viral, spawning a best selling memoir and a podcast exploring gender, vulnerability, and privilege. This is a picture that really has zero, like, why would you not include this, Jane the Virgin or 5 Feet Apart or Flores? Like, why would you not include a picture until here? Because this is all about this. This is all just the media attacking each person or whatever. I mean, kind of like what we're doing as far as like any little bit and piece that we're talking about, which is why, like, I was debating reading this, but as started reading it, I was like, this is one of the first pieces that are against Justin, and again, this was a matter of time, and I am curious about this. Um, but I don't know, it just, like, relevance to It Ends With Us, there's I don't know, I'll just keep reading, sorry. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, It Ends With Us. Little screenshot. Last year's romantic drama, It Ends With Us, was supposed to be the culmination of Baldoni's transformation into a multi hyphenate force. The adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel found him directing and starring opposite Blake Lively, a far bigger Hollywood name, friends with Taylor Swift. That part, like, why? Who attended last year's Super Bowl with her and married to Marvel star Ryan Reynolds. Lively has been famous since Gossip Girl, a defining teen drama of 2000. This, I'll say this. I am going to be quite neutral already. I've said, like, yeah, it does not look good that he named it 5 feet apart and the screenplay was 3 feet apart or whatever. But this paragraph is crap. You did so much better. You're a good writer. This paragraph is crap. Why Taylor Swift? And then someone had mentioned like Gossip Girl is the only thing that Blake Lively has that's like a fame. I don't know. But despite grossing over 350 million worldwide after its August release, the success of It Ends With Us has been overshadowed by a bitter, escalating feud between its two stars. On December 20th, Lively filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department accusing Baldoni of SH and misconduct during the film's production. According to the complaint, which was followed days later by a lawsuit in federal court, which I don't know why those were not in the same court, he allegedly pressured her to perform greater nudity than agreed upon. I think that was supposedly Isabella that Blake was alleging he did that about. But anyways, improvised intimate scenes and retaliated with a smear campaign after she raised concerns. Baldoni denied the claims, filing a 250 million defamation lawsuit or suit against Lively in the New York Times, which published her allegations. Weeks later, he followed with a 400 million counter lawsuit against Lively, Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan, accusing them of conspiring to destroy his reputation and wrest control of the film from him. Baldoni's countersuit alleges that Lively and her team engaged in a coordinated effort to undermine him, including making false allegations of misconduct, spreading defamatory statements to the press, and using their influence to pressure the studio to try to remove him from the film. And already I can say those are very different circumstances than allegedly stealing someone's screenplay, which we'll see if they have any proof of. um, but that's very different. The only thing that's similar, you could say, in both allegations is that it's like smaller. to like bigger star or smaller civilian to a Hollywood star. That's the only relationship. Um, but to, as they said, wrest control of a film once you're part of it, and there's like a whole team of people that were fired or affected by this, that's a whole different thing. The scandal has since become a full-blown media spectacle with competing court filings and publicly surfaced messages fueling an ongoing firestorm. Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman, who had represented Megyn Kelly, Bethany Frankel, Tucker Carlson, and Don Lemon, has portrayed him as an underdog, and also the person that they're talking about in this article, I thought. Um, has portrayed him as an underdog, arguing that Hollywood power players are attempting to make him, according to his countersuit, the real life villain in Lively's story. Side note, I'm the villain of my own story from My Crazy Ex Girlfriend, one of the best songs. Many who have worked with the 41-year-old Baldoni praise him as an inspiring and generous leader. He is highly creative and in tune with his spiritual side, said Melissa Ames, who worked as his personal and executive assistant and credits him with giving her career opportunities she had long dreamed of. He has a heart for helping others. Working at Wayfair was one of the best times of my life. And also, both things can be true. Creative world is an interesting world as far as there are no original ideas, and like sometimes, oh, I like, oh, this is so cool. They have like 20%. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Anyways, sorry. I'm sorry. That is the highlight of me reading this. The little things in life. But yeah, um, yeah, so it's hard. That stuff can be so hard. The thing that makes this really crappy, if this is true, which again, we'll see if they have any proof or if this is unearthed, is the person that he stole the idea from, or maybe it was the title, you know, whatever. We'll see. Yeah. Yet some former colleagues in more than a dozen interviews with the Times and a previously unreported 2020 lawsuit against Baldoni and Wayfair Studios paint a more complicated picture. Chocolate. Sorry, my dog, I think, was having a nightmare. Um, it's interesting because we've not heard this, and we've wondered, some of us have wondered, are we living in a bubble? Because where's the bad press? Where are the people coming against Baldoni? Because there's plenty against Lively, and she has a longer career, longer in the spotlight, but, well, kind of, actually. Anyways, yet some former colleagues in more than a dozen interviews, where, excuse me, several described a pattern of performative virtue and power plays that, in their view, conflicted with the ideals Baldoni professes to uphold. They keep talking about the Baldoni Lively battle as David and Goliath, but that's just not my experience, said one former collaborator who, like numerous other interviewed by the Times, declined to be named out of fear of being drawn into litigation. Where was this? Now I'm going to have to figure this out. Oh gosh. Justin has a lot of power. I wish they would have like little clickable references so you can just go straight to that source. Justin has a lot of power and a lot of money, and he is not afraid to use them to get his way. We need allies, but we need allies whose personal and business dealings align with those with who they say they are. Hmm. Through a spokesperson, Baldoni declined to be interviewed for the story, as did Wayfair Studios' senior leadership. The spokesperson said the company has always proudly publicized its founding mission of harnessing storytelling to champion inspirational stories that act as true agents for social change, and actively strives to maintain a positive workplace environment that is rooted in this mission. This is interesting, and this is interesting. Dozen of interviews and former colleagues. Why have we not seen that? Why has that not surfaced? Not just like in content creators, but especially in content creators. Why has it not surfaced in other publications too? Man enough. Baldoni was born in Los Angeles, where his father Sam ran an entertainment marketing company, brokering deals to feature brands in movies and TV shows. But after a series of earthquakes and wildfires hit Southern California in the early 90s, the family relocated to rural Applegate Valley, Oregon. Or who puts it like or? It's OR, right? Oregon. Ah, the new generation. Raised in a double wide trailer in a blue collar conservative town, Baldoni struggled to fit in, torn between his family's Baha'i faith, spelled that wrong, which emphasizes gender equality and service to others, and the hypermasculine culture around him. At school, as Baldoni recounted in his 2021 memoir, Man Enough, he was hazed by older boys who compared the size of their genitals in the locker room, snuck, um, this feels like a 90s bad movie, into his food and gave him the nickname Balboner. Well, and now he has baloney too. I'm surprised that baloney wasn't the one because that's so much closer. Also, what are these I've not seen. Okay, I don't understand how some people are raised. These types of memories were catalyst for the inferiority complex that plagued me through most of my adolescence and into my 20s, and one that I still battle with today, he wrote. As a teenager, Baldoni turned to pornography as a coping mechanism, watching schmeck scenes. I don't know, some words. I don't know, I'm trying. From movies and other adult content alone in his room whenever he felt lonely, insecure, anxious, or even bored. Years later in Hollywood, he found himself working alongside actresses he had once fantasized about. Some of the weirdest moments of my life have happened in the past few years as my teenage fantasies have merged with my mid 30s professional life. And some of these women have become friends, he wrote in Man Enough. Because of his Baha'i faith, which discourages premarital, should I just say it? Premarital sex, Baldoni remained abstinent until his freshman year at Cal State Long Beach, where he later recalled in Man Enough, and I talked about this too, his then girlfriend initiated intercourse without his consent, an experience he said left him privately anguished. Who was I ever going to be able to talk about it? He wrote, picturing an uncomfortable conversation with his typical bro roommate. Hey man, so my girlfriend put me inside of her and I wasn't ready to have sex and I'm feeling really weird about it, is what he had written. After discovering the same girlfriend had been cheating on him, Baldoni later recounted he spiraled into depression, losing 20 pounds and sleeping on a couch in an seeking support from the Baha'i community in Los Angeles. He gradually regained a sense of purpose and threw himself into pursuing a Hollywood career, eventually landing roles on shows like The Young and the Restless, Woo, Charmed, and Everwood. I saw those and I don't remember him. I like those shows. By 2013, frustrated with the limited, often superficial parts he was being offered and facing foreclosure on his home, Baldoni began shifting his focus to directing and producing. That year, he founded Wayfair Entertainment, where his father, Sam, held a role as an executive producer, aiming to create socially conscious content inspiring by their shared spiritual values. The company's first office, located above a carpet business in the Fairfax district, was modest, staffed by an army of interns around a ping pong table, recalled Mikey or Mickey McManus, who described himself as a Wayfair's first full-time employee. Reading this makes me think, and then I put the part that his dad, where was it? Ran an entertainment marketing company. It makes me think of Taylor Swift, actually. That's so much of, her. Was it both her mom and dad working for a marketing company, or her mom working for marketing for his dad's like brokerage or some, or not his company, but like something like that, where they met, and having kind of that like inside but not inside help, kind of, because of people like, I have my family knows nothing that would be able to help me about this industry. But they had this like tiny little bit of upper hand as far as marketing. He is very different than Taylor Swift as far as marketing, but I just like it made me recall that. It just feels a little bit like a parallel sort of moment. Um, yeah. How do we use media to make the world a better place? That was the mission, said McManus, who served as the company's EVP, Executive Vice President of Department of Development, for its first couple of years. It was an uphill battle to go into a network and do something wholesome. One of Wayfair's first projects, My Last Days, a web docu-series about terminally ill individuals embracing life, found a home on Baldoni's friend and fellow Baha'i devotee Rain Wilson's Soul Pancake platform. The series drew millions of views and would eventually land a spot on the CW. In 2014, Baldoni landed his breakout role as Rafael Solano in the CW dramedy Jane the Virgin, based on a Venezuelan telenovela. The role of love interest to Gina Rodriguez, who is like such an awesome force of like just an awesome force. I would love to work with her. Just I don't even know in what capacity, or just be around her, watch her work. I've seen so many behind the scenes now from, you know, digging or just things that pop up because I'm going down these rabbit holes, and she seems amazing and just someone that you want all the time to work with. But I digress. She was Jane. The role of love interest to her had originally been intended for a Latino actor, but was rewritten as an Italian after Baldoni was cast. Was it? I don't remember that. Potato potato. There are Italians. There are all sorts of people in Southern America. Argentina is like not what you imagine, for example. Like it's interesting. Years later, Baldoni grappled in his memoir with the systemic racial inequities that he now recognized had given him a leg up. I can absolutely see how I took a role from a Latino actor, he wrote. In a chapter devoted to the subject of race, he added, the system doesn't benefit me just because I am a man. The system also benefits me because I am a white man. But he's not. I have thoughts about that. Not to mention an able bodied, heterosexual, cis white man from a middle class family. I have thoughts around that. I have thoughts around that because um, I have thoughts about that. I'll talk about it on my live. I don't know. There's just like, that's so much to unpack on this. I keep reading. But okay. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, I guess. As Jane the Virgin garnered acclaim, Baldoni leveraged his rising fame to expand Wayfair, pitching socially conscious content in crowd-pleasing formats, what he called chocolate, like broccoli chocolate, or chocolate-covered broccoli. He also ventured into tech entrepreneurship, launching two apps: Shout, which promoted online positivity by scoring users' social media interactions, and Belly Bump, which helped women document their pregnancies through time lapse videos. Neither took off. He's hardcore Baha'i, right? And one of the major tenets, as I came to understand it from him, was our work should be our service to mankind. That should be everyone's tenet. That should be like number one for everyone. And what we're seeing is like the opposite of that. And the world and us are feeling that it is not in our benefit to look out for us and not for mankind. It is actually counterintuitive. But I digress again. I needed to say that because the world is in like danger right now. Anyways, McManus recalled that he used to use this analogy in regard to the patriarchy and the role of women. Our species is a two-winged bird, and one of the wings has been injured. Emerging in 19th century Iran, the Baha'i faith now has an estimated 5 to 8. This is like a in depth. This is actually like a pretty good article because they really went like in every little thing. Um, yeah, it now has estimated 5 to 8 million followers worldwide, including more than including more than 170,000 in the US, with an emphasis on racial and gender equality, social justice, global peace. Such an awful religion, right? Its central goal is to unify mankind and coexist, according to Zachary M. Hearn, a Middle Eastern Studies professor at Idaho State University, who is also Baha'i. This is just crazy. Baha'i better not be like attacked after this because it's one of the few religions that's like for mankind. I don't know. Initially deemed incredibly radical for challenging religious authority and advocating social reforms, including women's education, the Bab, whose teachings paved the way for the Baha'i, was executed in 1850 for apostasy, and his perceived challenge to the political and religious establishment. It's interesting that they mention Iran, but they don't mention that it was originally like a stem of um, Islam, I think. Like the Bab, or the Bob's predecessor. I forget. There's an awesome, amazing historical look at Baha'i faith up to like not so much the teachings, but like the history of it on YouTube. I'll link that below after I finish this because it's amazing. Um, but anyways, despite its emphasis on equality, some Baha'i principles remain culturally conservative in ways that clash with Hollywood's more liberal and permissive norms. Women cannot serve on the religion's highest governing body, the Universal House of Justice, though they can hold leadership roles in all other Baha'i institutions. Um, which my understanding is like it's not often. That's not often I mean, that's not like. Let's continue. Same sex marriage is not recognized, as Baha'i teachings define marriage as a union between a man and a woman. Um, it's interesting. I think the next generation of religion, if so, the idea of Baha'i is that religion is all religions are one, and it's just like a reiteration of the other. It's like a next step, next like class level of it, and like college class versus like high school class versus whatever. And so in that sense, I wonder if the next religion, next reiteration would be saying feminine and masculine, because we all have a feminine and masculine side to us. And some people, regardless of their like physical gender, are more masculine or feminine energy. And there you go. The end. It doesn't have to contradict, is all I'm saying. Alcohol and recreational drugs are prohibited, and gossip, a key currency in Hollywood, is considered one of the most harmful and soul destroying human traits and strictly forbidden. And fun fact, so is in Christianity, but no one talks about that. And Christians continuously gossip and judge and stuff. But I remember this, I think from another like Christian religious a Christian religion history video or something a while ago, how like gossip is assassinating someone's character, so it goes under one of the 10 commandments, thou shall not kill or harm thy neighbor or whatever. So yeah, but no one listens to that because it's like, semantics, like it's not exactly. Yeah, people get away with a lot of things that are in their religion that they're not following. It was through his faith that Baldoni connected with Steve Sarowitz, a Chicago based Baha'i convert and billionaire founder of Paylocity, when he served as an advisor on the Gate Dawn of the Baha'i Faith. 2018 documentary Sarowitz produced about the religion's origins. The following year, Sarowitz investment firm 4S Bay Partners acquired a majority stake in Wayfair Entertainment, establishing a $25 million content fund to expand its staff, move to larger offices, and evolve the company, now called Wayfair Studios, into a hub for socially impactful storytelling. Um, As if Christianity is so welcoming of women, yeah, yeah. But as the framework of the writer. Oh, yeah, interesting. I no religion, or sorry, none of the top religions except Judaism, I think. And I think that's like no, I take that back. That's like the progressive Judaism, but there's also Orthodox Judaism and all this stuff. So yeah, um the religions we most know here in the US, at least, are not at all welcoming of women in higher positions. They see women as second class. I mean, because the idea was in the core, these three core religions, that a woman was born out of the man's rib or whatever. So, yeah, you know, we'll keep on going. But it's interesting. I will say that how many paragraphs is this? Um, 4 paragraphs already on the Baha'i faith thing. And when I said that it was in depth, it's interesting. It's like this LA Times article took everything that no one, like, there were mentions of, but no one touched. And like, well, talk about that. Let's talk about that. And let's paint that in our way. Everything's biased. And I'm not saying Baha'i faith is good or bad. I'm not, I'm just like, sometimes I point things out when it comes to religion. I'm not religious. I don't do organized religion. I have a huge distrust. And even with Baha'i, I was like, ooh, this sounds like it aligns a lot with my values, progression, and for the better of mankind, etc. But I'm not becoming Baha'i because it's an organized religion and there's something to it, I'm sure, that is not aligned with my values in that sense. So yeah, but I will point things out. I will point things out. In 2019, Baldoni made his directorial debut with 5 Feet Apart. And here we go back to the initial point of this article, which starred Cole Sprouse and Haley Lou Richardson. Sorry. Released by CBS Films, the movie grossed over 90 million globally on a $7 million budget, though many reviewers found it mawkish and saccharine. Hmm. Encouraged by the film's financial success, Wayfair expanded into larger projects, including Baldoni's second feature, Clouds, a 2020 Disney Plus drama about Zach Sobiech, I forget how he pronounced his name, a teenage singer-songwriter who died of cancer in 2013. And also, this is Steve Sarowitz at the Wayfair Studios, or yeah. The unabashedly heartstring tugging film earned solid reviews and propelled Sobiech's song of the same title to the top of the iTunes chart, helping to raise funds for osteosarcoma through the Children's Cancer Research Fund. While building Wayfair, Baldoni was also shaping his public image as a feminist ally. I like this more, like feminist ally, because it's more what he was doing than feminist. The birth side note, there was a um like an interview or something where with Ryan Reynolds like saying how like disgusting feminist ally basically is, referring to Nice Bull. Um, I was like, man, this guy has issues. This Ryan Reynolds has deep issues. A lot of misogyny over there. The birth of his daughter Maya in 2015 had promoted a deeper reflection on gender equity and the kind of man he wanted to be. In his 2017 TED Talk, he declared, I believe that as men, it's time we start to see past our privilege and recognize that we are not just part of the problem. Fellas, we are the problem. I'm an atheist, but I do think people are, at least my experience is, yeah, pick the religion that they most identify with. It's never going to be perfect. Yeah, Baha'i seems pretty good. Yeah, it isn't going to be perfect. But that's why I just kind of opt out of religion and I'm just going for spiritual journey, understanding. And one of the cool things about Baha'i is what they do. They don't have service about Baha'i faith. They have meetings where they read from the other religions. So I'm like, what the heck? Why is this so small? Why is this religion so small? This is what we need. We need like more inclusivity and understanding and learning from each other. Also, there's a market for people who want uplifting or with religious tones. See Tyler Perry, billionaire black. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't really like religion in movies. That's why I went on my rant yesterday with Judaism and Jewish faith and Jewish history. The same thing with Christians. I just I don't know. It's important, but that's not to me something that should be like a main genre. But yeah, they're big. They're big. I just feel like a lot of times people go to religion to be saved from things, but I think back like on their habits that they need to break or heal the things that they need to heal, and it can only get you so far. You still need to do the work, and then it's just kind of disguised in a way that's like acceptable versus like something like therapy, or spirituality around like love, good, the end, Um, not the end, but anyways, my thoughts. Baldoni had already demonstrated his love for grand gestures, particularly when it came to romance. Years earlier, he proposed to his wife, Swedish actress Emily Baldoni, born Foxler. Ne? Why is it two E's if you have the thing? Anyways, with an elaborate, highly produced 27-minute video featuring hidden cameras, choreographed flash mobs, and a montage of their relationship, an over the top spectacle that quickly went viral. The TED Talk resonated, earning nearly 9 million views and laid the groundwork for Baldoni's 2021 book, Man Enough, and the subsequent podcast of the same name. The original idea, I like how they just like inserted that. Like, I don't know where to put this. Let's put it sandwiched between the TED Talk. This original idea was to make the view for dudes, said McManus. We wanted a show about men and the things that men don't talk about because that was our way of unpending and unpending in the patriarchy, upending the patriarchy, which is destroying our planet. I mean, this is this is like more relevant today than I feel like it's ever been. If I mean, just the last 48 hours or 24 hours in the news, men destroy the planet, could be a headline. Not all men, but the patriarchy is absolutely destroying the planet. This just, ugh, gosh, it's just crazy out there. Crazy out there. Constant positivity doesn't equal toxic positivity. It can, but it depends. That's right. Oh, it's Ash Wednesday. That's right. I did see that on the calendar. So many Catholics around me today, and I abhorred that. Really, even though it was short-lived one. Yeah, I did like Ash Wednesday because I thought it was cool. I went to a Catholic high school, and I got to like go through all of the Catholic traditions, I guess. And Ash Wednesday was like, it was cool also because later when people in my family or everyone else is like, why are those people like dirty on their forehead? I'm like, oh, because of that. So, I still don't get it. I don't know the significance of it. I forget. I got it at that time, but I forget. Yeah. Oh, Ash Wednesday. I hope the people that have that performance of it actually carry through, the teachings of it. But yeah, let's get back to this. It was constant positivity all the time. While Baldoni's openness about his efforts to be a better man earned praise from many, others questioned his authenticity. Of course, inspired by his faith, Baldoni had long tried to help others through such efforts as the Skid Row Carnival of Love, an annual event he founded in 2015 to help LA's unhoused community. Hmm. But to some observers, his public gestures, such as filming himself giving clothing to a homeless man or asking employees to sign their emails with the phrase so much love, felt performative, aimed at self branding as much as bringing about genuine change. Okay. It was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity, said one former Wayfair staffer. You were so ahead of me. um, I'm always a little dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people. Like that they also put the quotes in the writing of it and also left that. It felt phony. In yeah. In response, I mean, these are like fair. Absolutely. Just like, Deadpool's nice bull criticism. Yeah, there are absolutely those types of people that just are fake and use things, or I think more times people are not using it for their benefit financially or whatnot, but more so because they don't understand fully what they're doing, and they have an idea of it, or they think it's cool, or they just get swept up in the trend, which is good. But then if they don't understand it, it can be performative and it can be fake. And that's what I see with Blake Lively and her talk in all the interviews about feminist issues. It's like she's saying the words, but she doesn't understand the words. That's exactly what I see. And yeah, like that's fair to say that sometimes constant positivity is toxic positivity, not always. And disrupting the status quo. Yeah, sure. I think some people question everything. Some people are dubious about everything because there's a lot of stuff that we need to be critically thinking about. But being dubious doesn't mean like you stop there. Ask questions, learn more, critical think. Just because it feels off doesn't mean it's off. But I'm not sure of anything. I'm just, I guess, because I am leaning on Justin's side as far as the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni kind of saga. Like I'm just coming in from that perspective. But I think I would say this anyways, that these are just my personal views and thoughts anyways. And what I like is always being the devil's advocate. So here we go. In response to these criticisms, a spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair said there have never been any reported complaints regarding the workplace culture or any communicated issues regarding the platforms or its founders. If any guidance was ever provided to employees of how to conduct their written correspondence, it was to ensure that the activities of its employees remained professional and aligned with the ethos of the company. Wayfair believes that joy and positivity are the essence of good work, and they stand by this statement. I will just, I have to say this as someone who worked in both marketing and in numerous office jobs, both as marketing and not marketing. You have signatures. Some offices, some smaller businesses, bigger businesses, whatever, some offices have a brand, and it's not necessarily bad or good. Usually you include in there what you want your receivers to have handy, whether it's like the mission statement in some cases, it's a certain like greeting style. Some people leave that up to the employees, some people don't. um, and you also have like ideally links, and it like the signature of an email is such like a BS thing to pick on, because that is like everywhere, everywhere. I don't know about this person at the LA Times. I'm pretty sure he was given a signature, because LA Times is a pretty professional place. It's not like a mom and pop shop. So I'll say that. And to have the phrase so much love, who who came up and said, yeah, this feels performative. This is crap. Oh, you need to check into like a therapy session if you feel like so much love is like somehow like imposing on other people's like liberties or something. I'm sorry. That one I couldn't hold in. So much crap. Fair, we're also jaded. I have to remind myself of that because I can, yeah. And so yeah, it's really hard to counter that jadedness for sure. All offices I've worked in have a code of conduct which includes all communications. I mean, and some don't. And I've, again, working in marketing, I had struggles because some people are like, no, I want to, you know, have my picture or don't have my picture in my signature or whatever, do whatever, talk whatever. But yeah, LA Times even has a professional standard for their employees. Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's one thing if they were like, oh, it's like something that's infringing of liberties, but it's so far talking about love. And I understand the performative parts of like filming someone, some oneself, or filming someone doing good deeds. It's always been kind of like, oh, good deeds should be done in private and anonymously. I disagree. I think it depends. If you're just doing that for show, yes, that's performative. If but we need to normalize that. We need to like see that. We need to be exposed to that. And if everyone's going to do, how is it that we're meant to show the base parts of humanity, but not the elevated parts of humanity? We should be ashamed for doing service, excuse me, for providing love, for providing things. And in a way, I take back what I even said, even if it's just performative. Unless you're going afterwards and taking that away after you stopped filming, unless you're a really horrible person outside of that and you're just like turn on the camera and just that, and then you're using that to just get money. Even if it's performative and you're like, oh, I have to volunteer because I have to volunteer because the church makes me, because my office makes me, because my whatever makes me. it's still a good deed. Those people are benefiting from it that you're servicing, and also filming it or making it public, talking about it publicly will inspire other people to do it. So I just say crap to that. Um, but we'll keep reading. We're 50%. I love this. I don't know if this is, this website or it's LA Times, um, but I love this. In response to these criticisms, a spokesperson for Baldoni said this. All right. um, yeah, I've read that. Multiple employees also expressed discomfort with the increasing prominence of the Baha'i faith. Also, why did they do so much research and not wrote Baha'i as it's supposed to be written? Why did they misspell it? But anyways, multiple employees also expressed discomfort with the increasing prominence of the Baha'i faith in Wayfair's office culture. There was an evangelizing. Sorry about that. There was an evangelizing aspect to the way Justin spoke about the faith that, in my opinion, felt professionally inappropriate, said one former employee. But the Wayfair Studios was founded in the Baha'i faith, sort of. I I'm currently like looking for jobs, applying for jobs, whatever. There's this one job for the Catholic diocese or whatever that keeps popping up as far as like marketing. I'm like, no. Like, yeah, Wayfarer Studios doesn't have like Baha'i Wayfarer Studios or whatever in it, but it was founded on that. And I wonder if they kind of like spoke about that going in, because maybe, yeah, people might have felt a little like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. Okay. Um, I'm curious what that is though, too. What that aspect is, evangelizing aspect is, and what was professionally inappropriate feeling to people. Other Because I've been in workplaces where people, I'll be very frank, a lot of offices don't celebrate Juneteenth. They don't celebrate MLK, Martin Luther King Day. I felt very uncomfortable and I felt like that wasn't unprofessional. You celebrate white people holidays, but not black people holidays, basically. So many offices. So feeling professionally inappropriate or feeling uncomfortable, feeling unaligned with workplace values, how deep does it go? Is it bad or is it like normal? Others describe the workplace where Baha'i principles were frequently invoked in discussions about the company's mission and projects, particularly after steroids became more involved. But freaking, this is what it was founded on. Baha'i values were a driving force behind everything they did, said another former employee who wasn't as bothered by the focus on the faith. It came up routinely. As a newer Baha'i member, Steve wanted to talk about it all the time. Aw, it's like that, like, shiny new toy thing, and not like a shiny new toy, but, when you yeah, toy or something you're learning or something like a new dog or whatever is, like, new that you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to" baby, like, "Oh, let me show you a picture of my baby all the time." Like, that's, like, what it makes me think of. Speaking of my dog over here, she's, like, sleeping. Oh, I need to show this. I'm gonna show it just, like, in the tiny little place. This is what's happening right now. She's really comfortable. This is so cute. All right. Oh boy. Okay. Keep going. Where am I? I got it off center. Um. So yeah. A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair noted that while and also then it makes me think. So was Steve really the person that was like? Because there are those people that come in and take up space. And so did Steve come in, cuz I think he was a founder member, but suddenly he came in supposedly to like just impose this, I don't know. But there are those people, Justin might be the more quiet, but he might still speak about it, but sometimes some people speak about it where it's like more overt or less uh Mm, polished, I guess. Not like censored or something, but like polished. Like, some people say things that no matter what they say, it rubs you the wrong way. And some people, no matter what they say, doesn't rub you the wrong way or in between. So it seems like people don't like Steve. So is this a hit piece on Justin or Steve? A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair noted that while the founders of Wayfair Studios are Baha'i, the majority of its senior leadership staff are not, and no Baha'i related activities are ever mandated by the company. As all of Wayfair's projects are rooted in a belief system that stems from various faiths and backgrounds, speaking from a place of spirituality is commonplace, the spokesperson told the Times. So they had a spokesperson talk about this. Um, Employees are encouraged to celebrate and practice their individual beliefs however they see fit, a message which is probably supported by leadership. And I want to say again, reiterate that Baha'i faith is also rooted in all the other religions. All of the other religions are part of the Baha'i faith. So yeah. The dog, cute dog. Thank you. Exactly. It's a private business. They can do as they please. If you work for the government, it's different. Yeah. Um, I'm reminded of the time again that people respect toxic behavior because they misidentify as strength. Yeah. Look at the 24 hours in the country, truly disgusting. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that's like what we've spoken about with Ryan Reynolds and how like the misrepresentation of what is professional or what is um health healthy or whatever, and the misidentification of things. um Sorry, I'm like losing track. We're past 50% though. um Rooted in his spiritual beliefs, Baldoni saw Wayfair as a vehicle for inspirational storytelling, but some employees felt its relentless emphasis on uplifting sometimes veered into this discomfiting this what is that word? Discomfiting territory. All right, well, make someone feel uneasy. How? What? What? Where did they get this word? Why not say that? Two former staffers in particular spoke of their unease with Baldoni's repeated focus on stories of terminal illness, which included 2015 documentary he directed about the Simpsons writer Sam Simon that aired on Fusion just a week after Simon's death from cancer. The message was always these people are dying and they still have a positive outlook, so everyone has a reason to be positive, one former Wayfair staffer said. But you're also making money off of these people, so it feels at least slightly exploitative. When this makes me think of is like when people like rise up and they do better, people want to bring them down because Justin's not perfect. He has said numerous times he's not perfect. He also in his book talks about, I think in his book or in a video, he talks about why he started this series of people in their last times, in the last weeks, the last months, the last days. Um, and it was very personal to him. And I feel like also, if you don't want to work for that, don't work for that mission. If you don't feel comfortable, don't go there. This isn't like a Sony Studios. This isn't, um, you know, a general, humongous, all encompassing studio. This is his studio for what he wants to achieve, and the people that are aligned with his mission want to achieve in this world, in this life. and he has a right to that. Other people align to that. They see, a benefit to that, and that is what he was doing. Like, yeah, I didn't watch the movies that he made because they don't really align with what I'm interested in. They align, I guess, with my value system, but not with my interest. I don't know. I know that I don't like those movies. And like, I wouldn't make those movies myself if I was there. If I was like, if I had my own studio, I wouldn't make, but this is what I'm saying. Like, if I had my own studio and I know that I kind of want to do something like that, I know that the movies that I want to make, I have limits on what I want to make. I don't want to make horror. I don't want to make movies about conflict. At least right now, and for the past, 10, 15 years of my life, actually almost 20 years of my life, I knew very well what I didn't want the movies that I made to be. That's his choice. It's his studio and the, people that he hired. I don't understand why we're having this conversation is all I'm saying. Um but yeah, like the exploitative part, oh, that's such a fine line. That's like defamation. Like, you have to prove it, and it's so hard to prove. It's so hard to prove. Also because I don't know. Reviewers have raised similar concerns. While it is a spectacle for a good cause, it is still a spectacle, Variety wrote of My Last Days, and one that sometimes is guilty of revealing it on its in its own self-satisfaction. Responding to these concerns, a spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair said, "It is a shame that anyone would criticize the platform that Mr. Baldoni and Wayfair Studios have given to these communities of people living with chronic illness who are in desperate need of the critical funds and global awareness that each of one of these projects directly provided. Since before Wayfair was even founded, Mr. Baldoni dedicated his professional career to raising awareness and funds for these individuals with the sole intent of oh gosh, memorializing their legacies. While some former employees voiced concerns about aspects of Wayfair's workplace culture, others described positive experiences with the company. Australian born filmmaker Crystal Cornelison, who began working with Wayfair in 2014, became the first female director on one of the company's projects when she replaced a male filmmaker who had dropped out of a documentary shooting in Malawi. The shoot proved arduous, with no electricity or running water, but Cornel, Crystal praised Baldoni and Wayfair for their steadfast support. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, dealing with this anarchy, and they were really there for me. Oh gosh, recalled. They risked a lot of money for humanitarian projects that they didn't make back. That's putting your money where your mouth is. There were always good intentions. A lot of corporations are phony. You have to measure the impact. Justin is generally a good egg. Following a series of leadership changes at Wayfair Studios, Jamie Heath, Baldoni's best friend and a fellow Bahá'i, became the company's president in 2021. A longtime songwriter and producer who worked with artists Shaka Khan and Solange, Heath, like Sarowitz, had little prior experience in the film industry. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. The following year, Sarowitz and his wife, Jessica, invested an additional $125 million into the company, fueling further expansion. In March 2024, Heath, who also co-hosted the Man Enough podcast, was elevated to chief executive. I also want to point out, they talk about Sarowitz and Heath not having film experience. And I want to just point out, I'm not saying facts are not facts or whatever the facts mean. I'm just saying that Ari, whatever his name is, Calamari, from WME just said with his own words that he doesn't keep up with Hollywood and he is the president of one of the biggest talent agencies in Hollywood. So, just saying. Wayfair 60%. Wayfair's internal culture was at times dysfunctional and riven by internal politics, according to one former executive at the company. With Baldoni, who was often away on sets, only occasionally making appearances, he would come in and everyone would kind of stand and greet him as if he was arriving conqueror. But he didn't really understand how the day-to-day business worked. Oh my gosh, okay. A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair said that Baldoni was not deeply involved in daily management, adding, Justin Baldoni does not oversee and hasn't ever overseen the day to day operations of Wayfair Studios, and emphasizing the company's robust leadership team. I mean, seriously, whatever workplace tension existed came to a head in 2020 and 2021 when a lawsuit alleging racial discrimination and wrongful termination brought internal grievances to light. Separate copyright dispute involving Baldoni and Wayfair raised questions about whether the company's stated ideals aligned with its practices. Okay, now we're getting into something. In December 2020, former Wayfair executive Shane Norman, who is Black, filed a lawsuit alleging that he was recruited with promises of job security and professional advancement, but was later marginalized and ultimately terminated after raising concerns about racial inequities at the company. Hmm. The complaint claimed that during the hiring process, Sarowitz told Norman, "We need somebody here who looks like you." But after he spoke out, particularly during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests, colleagues labeled him as an angry black man. Oh, not good. Asked about Serowitz's alleged comment, a spokesperson for Wayfair said Mr. Serowitz was not a defendant in the lawsuit. Regardless, Wayfair Studios, Wayfair Entertainment, and Baldoni denied this and all the material allegations in the complaint, the first amended complaint and the second amendment complaint. The lawsuit alleged Wayfair perpetuated a pattern of sidelining and tokenizing people of color, a dynamic that, according to the complaint, was antithetical to everything Wayfair claimed to stand for. It further claimed that after voicing these concerns, Norman was demoted, his pay was cut, and he was ultimately terminated, while non Black employees in similar circumstances received severance packages that he was denied. So they're trying to paint like retaliation pattern over here. That's what this is about. But I'm curious about that lawsuit now. I don't know if I'm sure someone can find it. Baldoni and Wayfair denied the allegations. In September 2021, a judge dismissed some of Norman's claims in the case, and he later filed an appeal. In April 2022, he voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice, meaning he could not refile it. A source with knowledge of the negotiations said Norman received approximately $150,000 to drop his claim, though the terms of any settlement were not public. Their entertainment vigorously denied all of. Excuse me. Spokesperson said, in fact, public records confirmed the trial court dismissed Mr. Baldoni and Wayfair Studios from the lawsuit well before any resolution by the parties and the concurrent dismissal of the remainder of the lawsuit. Other than stating that the matter was resolved, we are unable to further comment. In September 2021, cystic fibrosis advocate and writer Travis Floor. Oh, okay. Now we're back to the point of this article. I'm sorry. Huh. um, Filed a lawsuit alleging that Baldoni, Wayfair Entertainment, and other defendants incorporated elements of his 2010 screenplay, 3 Feet Distance, without permission into Baldoni's 2019 film, 5 Feet Apart. cleaned 3 feet distant, Universal in 2015, but never produced. 2016, Flores shared his screenplay with a genetic company that had expressed interest in the project under a confidentiality agreement, and that an individual with access to the script later on 5 feet apart. Okay. To appear on Baldoni's docuseries My Last. Flores claimed in the lawsuit that he deliberately avoided discussing 3 feet distance on the show because he was concerned his participation might be used to undermine the right claim. This is getting messy. Doni and the other defendants denied the allegations in March 2022. And in March 2022, Flores voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice. No determination of liability was made. According to again, and wasn't this Brian Friedman like defending him? And he's not been mentioned at all. Is coming up, but he's not been mentioned at all. According to multiple sources, Flores ultimately dropped the case after being advised by his legal team that resources to sustain a prolonged legal fight and that continued health. That is literally what they said at the beginning. Uh, this is an interesting way to write an article. It's definitely like a storytelling of it. In late 2024, months after Flores's Times just failed to mention up to this point, began advocating for in his battle with Lively. And what's interesting about that, like, I wonder because, like, we're at 70%, we're way, way down into the article where Brian Friedman's name has come up. Why? Not saying I have any idea what the answer. Asked why he decided to represent Baldoni after previously representing Flores in a case against him, Friedman said in a statement, "Over the years, I learned what great people Justin and Wayfair are. The Flores case was resolved without any determination of liability on Justin's or Wayfair or any other defendant's part. Since then, it has been further confirmed to me that Justin and Wayfair are exceedingly honorable and highly ethical. Some former employees maintained that Baldoni's intentions were sincere, even as aspects of his leadership drew criticism. His heart is truly in the right place," said one former Wayfair employee. "He's a young guy who has gained access to a lot of money and has been figuring out how to run the company as he goes. He did a lot of stuff that was really helpful to a lot of people that no one knows about that far outweighs any mistakes." One former Wayfair executive who requested mm, to speak candidly described the challenges of Hollywood's for-profit progressivism as a constant a tough go in the industry. There's so much to read, it's hard to truly be good or to truly the higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. Oh, why am I like blurry? Oh, can you guys see me? I think it was like it doesn't matter, I guess, that much. The case was also dismissed. I heard about this case just because you lodge a complaint doesn't make it so. Yeah, I'm not saying discrimination didn't take place. Both of these. So this was it. So is this give credence to Blake Lively being more business formal compared to Wayfair? Oh yeah, I guess they didn't read her text messages. Yeah, I know. Talk about professionalism. He was very professional in his text message. Movies are predominantly violent. Is that exploitative? Yeah, I don't think it's exploitative, but it's definitely not. But I guess that's how to be real, because apparently we're just violent people. There's no good in us. Everyone's just violent. Anyways, the higher the pedestal, the harder. Um, as the Baldoni's battle with Lively unfolded last year, speculation swirled online about a curious parallel on the big screen. I'm sorry. This is like bothering me now that I see. Hmm, it's interesting. I don't understand what happened with my camera. Sorry, guys. Um, as the Baldoni battle with Lively unfolded last year, especially on the big screen. In the summer comic Wolverine, some viewers wondered taking a job at Baldoni with a character Nice Bull, a sanctimonious anti-hero sporting a man bun. In one scene, Nice Bull, who comments on the Lively after childbirth, saying she can't even tell. When Deadpool replies, "I think you're supposed to say that," Nicepool shrugs it off. "That's okay. I identify as a feminist." Later, Ladypool guns Nicepool down in front of a flower shop. A significant setting in it ends with us, as Deadpool uses him as a human shield. Baldoni's legal team took notice. In January, Friedman sent a letter to Disney and Marvel demanding they ridicule, intimidate, or bully Baldoni through the character of appearing on the Megyn Kelly show on January 7th. Friedman highlighted the similarities. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that wants a hair bun, it's pretty obvious what's being done. A representative for Reynolds, who has not publicly remarked on the Nice Bull allegations, did not respond to the Times request for comments. So why was he even mentioned? What the heck was that? What the heck was that? Um, okay. The alleged the alleged ridicule adds further fuel to a scandal that has already touched Baldoni's reputation and pitted him against one of Hollywood's most powerful couples. Having been dropped by his agency, William Morris Endeavor, WME, and stripped of a recent award from the nonprofit Vital Visions, which honors advocacy for women and girls. Baldoni has attempted to repair his image by shifting the narrative back to Lively, whose own reputation has also sustained damage. In recent weeks, several audio and video recordings have emerged that Baldoni's legal and PR team believes exonerate him, including raw footage from the set of It Ends With Us. Around the same time, his team launched a website featuring his court filings and a 168-page timeline, also a court filing, the amendment, of the film's production, part of a broader push to counter the allegations and shape up. Aldoni digs in for the battle ahead. This a victory, whether in the court of law or public opinion, could offer a path back to Hollywood. A loss could leave everything he built in ruins. Even before the current crisis, Baldoni was candid about his fear of losing everything, laying bare his self doubt and insecurities in the opening chapter of his memoir. "I'm afraid a lot," he wrote. "I am afraid of not providing for my family, not being financially secure. I am afraid of losing my relevancy, of messing up my after jail, of gaining weight or not aging, not getting any work as an actor because it had never been for all these years but my looks. I'm seen as an imposter, and everyone will find out that I've just been faking it this entire time and really have no idea what I'm doing or how I that imposter syndrome people have, especially non-white males in America. But also, this sounds very much like women actors talking about being relevant just as long as they look good. Aging means they're not relevant anymore, and how much you worked for that. Um, this sounds like someone someone who is not just an ally, but absolutely personally empathizes with that, with women in Hollywood. Alongside his self doubt, Baldoni acknowledged another fear: being placed on a pedestal, even one he helped build. The higher that pedestal gets, the harder the fall, he wrote. I hate pedestals. I think these are the writers. Let me go back. The writer, yeah, Josh Rottenberg and Amy Kaufman. And these are them. Josh Rottenberg covers the film business for the Los Angeles Times. He was part of the team that was named a 2022 Pulitzer Prize finalist in breaking news for covering the tragic shooting on the film Rust. He co-wrote 2021 Times Invest it under the same umbrella as the New York Times. Like, well, we're being sued, so how about for for us? Amy Kaufman is a column where she writes the A1 column for Real with Amy Kaufman. The series examines the lives of icons, underdogs, and rising stars to find out who the people are culture, who the people are, uh, to find out who the people are shaping for real. Since joining the Times in 2009, she has profiled hundreds of influential figures, including Stevie Nicks, Nick, Drew Barrymore, Lady Gaga. Okay. Um, cool. So that's the article. It's all over the place. I just want to like kind of highlight this part though. Whoop. Highlight this part because this is true. The higher the pedestal, the harder the to aspire to do something good, ambitious, or bad, or like whatever, selfish, ambitious, regardless, it means that you always hard of falling from all the way to the top or like on the way to the top. People will try to bring you down regardless. I feel like when you're doing something for the bad, when you're having bad reasons or selfish reasons, we're all selfish. Like, I'm not talking everyday selfish because we're all doing everything that we do, everything that we choose is selfish. Everything is coming from a place of making sure we're safe. Everything. Every opinion we have, everything. So when I say selfish, I think when we all say selfish, we're talking about the extremist version of selfish. Those people that go for that end up being presidents of those end up being presidents of companies, end up being untouchable. Untouchable. Even Steve, I mean, he might be untouchable as a person, I don't know. But, he's involved in this kind of sideline wise. Um, but yeah, good is touchable. When you're aspiring to do good things, people will pick you apart, will analyze every single wrong move, any single mistake, any single sliver of selfishness or just bad. He is not perfect. I'm curious about both of the lawsuits mentioned in this. I'm curious about the people that come out, that have come out further, knowing that every company has people that will say something bad or good on both ways. It is very subjective. But this part to is like something that I want to this is to me in the end a kind of confusing article, and people will pin it depending on whatever side they're on, whatever they want. But it's confusing because it goes back and forth, back and forth. highlights the religion, which is interesting. He didn't want that highlighted. I think that it's a point of conversation, but I understand why very topic to bring up because there is freedom of religion as long as you're Christian in this country and no one else. And if you're a smaller religion, if you are so you just get picked apart. But sorry again to this. I know I'm out of focus. I don't know. It can kind of just it is what it is right now. It actually just the camp um and I can't um, anything about it unless I think I go out and come. Um, but this part that's highlighting really women's experience in the industry of Hollywood and in many industries, but especially in this, where as long as he looks good, as long as they look good, they're really famous and really sought. And as soon as that stops, the word goes away. Um, Let me see here if I can do some if